Hey friends, Jessica here, and so in today's demo we are going to be creating really cool loose impressionist abstract rose motifs like you see here. And per usual, we are going to be using the power of Photoshop brushes to make our design work and our illustration work faster, easier, and more fun. So we're going to let Photoshop do the heavy lifting, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to sample colors directly from photos to create these roses, and all the brushes that I'm going to use to create these, and you'll be shocked at how fast and easy it is. So let's get started. First of all, if you're a Patreon member, you can download all these assets directly on my Patreon, and along with the demo PSD. And I have the brushes saved as tool presets. You can also load them in ABR files. I'll have the links down below if you're not familiar with loading brushes, tool presets, or brushes. And also the color palettes that I created from images, but you can also make your own. So to start off with, we are going to make our color palettes for our color blending brushes. And I'm doing this by sampling directly from images. So I go here, I'm going to Unsplash, and I type in red rose, and I am seeing all kinds of nice red roses, and I want to sample colors directly from these images. So what I'm doing is I'm screenshotting little pieces where I want to sample colors from. So I have a Mac computer, and I do Command Shift 4 to create my little screenshots, and that gives me my arrows. You'll have to look it up if you're on a PC. I'm sorry. But just to make screenshots. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to go right over this thumbnail. I don't even need to download the image or expand it. I am sampling colors, and ideally I want to keep these color samples under 200 pixels, so this is perfect. So this one is like 65 by 75. Cool. So I'm just going through finding roses that I like the colors and sampling little color pockets, and I'm sampling these like purposefully to get multiple colors, because that just makes my life easier. So I am screenshotting lighter ones, darker ones, ones where you can see the contrasts here between light and dark. So I'm just going through like that, easy peasy. And then we can just go to my desktop here and I can see my little screenshots. So I'm just going to select all those, bring them into my Photoshop. And then to create a color palette based on these images for the color blending brushes, I'm going to hit Command M. That's my keyboard shortcut. I'm not sure if it's universal, but you can go to Edit, Define Pattern. And what that does is defines this as an image pattern, but we're not using it as a classical pattern for Photoshop. We're using it as a color palette, and you'll see more later about that. So I'm going to close that out. I'm going to hit Command M or Edit, Define Pattern, and I'm going to define all of these as patterns. And it doesn't matter that they're not seamless because we are just using them for their colors. So I've got that. Now I'm going to just load up my brushes. If you these are in TPR or ABR format, so you can either have them in your tool presets, or if you have a newer version of Photoshop, Photoshop now allows you to save them with their tool presets, with the color, flow, and all those kind of things. So that's good to go. So first of all, I am going to, let's see, window, arrange. I'm going to go look at my workspace and make it 2 up vertical, just because I'll have this as like a little reference guide so you can kind of see what you and I can see what I'm going to do next. So first of all, we're going to start with a little like flower motif. So I'm going to go over here, get my pattern stamp tool, number 1. If you don't see it, it could be under the clone stamp tool. And let's just grab that. Go over here, and you can go to my brushes, and I'm going to go to rose number 1. And this is a really cool brush. And I've actually saved already a color palette in it, but I'm going to make a new layer. And this already has a color palette that I've created loaded. And I've actually created this color palette from some rose images. But this is a really cool brush. And if you go really light, you can get these really cool streaks. Or you can go heavier and get these blurry, beautiful, like tulle kind of motifs inspired in there. So it's really fun to play with that brush. Rose 1 and Rose 2 are actually the same brush. It's just that Rose 2 has full flow. So it's a little sharper and sharper edges. So you can kind of mix the two of those interchangeably and just play around with it until you get like the effect that you're looking for. And so I'm just going to go with Rose brush number 1. And I am going to just create some loose strokes here and not even worrying about everything being perfect. And it's already loaded up with a color palette, but you can also use your own that you've just defined. Up here, these are all our patterns if you're not familiar, but whatever colors are in these patterns is going to spit out your brush and make these beautiful color blending strokes and do everything, like do all the hard work for you. So it's so pretty. So you can just kind of play around until you can kind of get something like a nice shape, but you just have to make a few strokes. It's nothing major. And I might even go to Rose brush number 2, make a new layer. This one's got a little sharper, and I might take one of my other color palettes that's like a little bit lighter and kind of make a few strokes. So you can just kind of have fun with that. But I think that looks really cool. We get that general abstract rose shape, nothing major, nothing whatever. I think it's good. And because I don't want to like draw in exactly like a robe. I love doing abstract. I think it's really cool, really romantic. So now I'm going to make a new layer over that. And I'm going to use my dotty brush. And this, I'm just going to brush over here. So it just makes some cool, like kind of a dotty speckled thing. And that's great for the inside of the rose. And I think I will grab a lighter color palette. And these color palettes are also available for my Patreon members. But you can also make your own just like I showed you. So I'm just going to have some make a couple in the center, kind of like the center of the rose, but I'm also going to make another layer, and I'm going to use one of my 24 karat gold layer styles, and I'll have that included on this. And now I'm going to do the same brush, but over the center, and kind of create some like dotty shapes, but I have the gold layer style, so it's going to look really cool. So that adds this little bit of dimensionality because we've got this cool, those dots below it and then dots above. So I think that looks really cool. And let me see our view. Let me turn off my rulers. Hold on, and turn off my snap. Okay. So we've got the center of the flower. I'm cool with it. You can play around. As you can see, I've done all different kinds, but it's just loose strokes, playing with the texture or playing with the pressure. They're all pressure sensitive, just having some fun, not being too serious about it, but you still get a really cool motif. So let's go over here to our demo document. Now I'm going to make a new layer below the main flower, grabbing my pattern stamp tool. For this demo, I've actually sampled some leaves that I like, and you can see the colors here. I don't have the image available, but you can do the same thing like I did with my rose. Type in leaf on Unsplash or Google and take screenshots and make your own palettes. So it's really fun. So I'm going to grab one of these. And what I like about this, I'm going to grab my fuzzy green brush and make these little kind of a leaf motif. And I love this brush because it adds this like really lovely kind of texture, and you can just play around with it until you get it how you like. I might play around with like a darker color. Hold on, I'm going to undo that. Take it down a bit, but I'm just kind of like, I've got 3 different palettes here of greens, and I think I'm going to stick with that one. But I think it looks really cool, and it looks like to me like really quite fuzzy. So I'm just doing like these little motifs of 3 leaves here on either side. I think that looks really cool, and you can just play around with that. And yeah. So I just think it looks fuzzy, and it adds like a nice contrast. So we've got that. And now I'm going to add a new layer, either above or below that as you like. And I'm going to get my vine brush. And this one I actually have already loaded with a color. So if you see here, it just makes some nice, it has a little bit of color jitter so that it just changes color ever so slightly. But what I'm gonna do is do like I did here, and I'm just gonna kind of draw some vine motifs kind of coming out the side. And what's cool is I can sample colors here. I'm just gonna use my option with the brush selected and sample a different one. So it's already got one color loaded, but I want it to be like a little bit different. So, you know, just playing around here and adding these like cool vines like you see here. So I might just add like one coming out down here. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it up there. That's cool. But I'm gonna undo that. Wait, let's redo that. Edit, redo. So they're pretty like monocolor, but we're gonna add a little bling bling on top of it. So it's cool because we've got a lot of other things on this design that's like multicolor. So it's good to, you know, have a little contrast. So I'll just make like a layer right above it, and I'm gonna apply the gold layer style, and I'm just using one of my 24 karat gold layer styles, but I will have this available for download, or you can use a layer style that you like. But I'm gonna grab my center vine brush, and I've already applied the layer style to the layer. And so I'm just gonna go up the center here, and that just draws these like this nice little center sort of thing. And you can, you know, just like play around with it too and have maybe some extra ones coming out. But you know, I'm gonna go like little minimalist like you see here. And then now the last thing I might do is I'm gonna go to these leaves here, and I'm gonna create a new layer on top, add my gold layer style, take this layer, create a clipping mask over my green brush, my green leaves, my 3 leaves. Okay, and I'm taking this dotty brush, and it doesn't matter what color, I can just leave the color on there because it's got a layer style in it. And I want to just add some little gold like touches to the edge of this leaves. I think it will be really cute. Just some little bit, and I'm using a clipping mask so it kind of clips to it. And I just think it looks cool, you know, so can kind of have a lot of little fun there, but I just love those little gold touches. And so this could just be like a really cool motif for, you know, like the edge of a card, or I don't know, like a pattern design, whatever. But we're gonna add a couple more touches. I'm gonna add some tulle, and I've got my tulle brush. So I'm gonna go, and I'm just at the very bottom, I'll create a new layer. And this is already loaded up with a dark green, but you can, you know, do this in any color. And I'm just going to add some kind of like accents on the side. And I love this because I can add some like depth. And then also I'm gonna make another layer, and I've got another tulle brush number 2. And it's like less strong of a brush. It's more of a loose brush. And I might even like take the flow or the opacity down of this brush a little bit, but I'll use it kind of like lightly. And this has got more of a loose sort of tool in it, but I might even take the opacity down a little bit, or the flow. You can make as you like, maybe not opacity, maybe just the flow. Take it down a little bit, but like over here you can see that I layered some of the tulle. So like I've got the tulle on the side here, but then I might add like a little bit on here on this side. And actually, maybe I'll make the color just, I don't know if I should make it lighter or darker, but let's see here. Oops, let's undo that. It's kind of cool to make it a little bit lighter even. But you can add some, you know, different textures to it. I might take that opacity down. Play around with it. I like how it turned out over here with the same color. So you know what, let me just go over here, make a new layer. I'll delete that. I'm gonna grab my tool number 2. Yeah, you know, you can just kind of play around with it, but I like it's like a looser. This is a tighter tool, this is a looser one. So you can have fun, or just make some little like spots around your motif, you know, with like the looser tool. So just kind of, you know, having fun with it and making it your own, but it can be really cool. So hopefully you guys have learned something, and you can use these brushes to make some really cool motifs, and then use them for your designs, your cards, your whatever kind of things, branding. But I love these rich colors, and I love this technique of sampling images directly, sampling colors directly from the images, because this looks really cool. And if you had to like do all the, adding the layers individually of all the different colors, it could take a long time, but we let Photoshop do the heavy lifting, and I'm all about the shortcuts, the hacks to make things faster and more fun. So you can have more fun with this and play around with this, and feel free to tag me on your designs and share your work. And hopefully you guys enjoy this, and then stay tuned, because I think I'm going to play around with these brushes a little bit more and give you guys some more ideas. So let me know down below if you have any questions, and happy creating.